Hello, welcome back to City Planner Plays, where we are creating the ultimate beginner's guide to city skylines by creating the city of Trattoria. And I'm excited to be back here. We're back here because we have a new DLC, Plazas and Promenades, which is a pedestrian-focused DLC that allows us to create districts with minimal vehicular traffic. This is a huge addition to the game, in my opinion, and I'm really excited to show you how this DLC works. So here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to teach you how to find a good location for a district. We're going to talk about how to make a district. We'll go over the wall-to-wall zoning that comes with the DLC. We'll walk through the plazas and promenades that come with the DLC. Then we'll talk about the new city service buildings, the new transit buildings, and then the unlockable unique buildings. And I also want to go over some of the new additions to the base game because it's one of the biggest updates that has come to the base game in quite some time. And stick around till the end because I'm going to show you how to make your own bus rapid transit line using these new assets. So let's jump right in and look at how we site one of these new districts. So there are a number of things you should consider. First of all, if you know you want to use the wall-to-wall zoning, it's going to be better for you to find a district that is gridded. I know some of you don't like grids, but know that squaring things up will allow these buildings and these zoning districts to fit nicely together, and then it'll look like they're butting up wall to wall, as they're called. So that takes some of these areas, like right here, this is kind of out of the equation. It'll look bad, but there are areas like this that look pretty good. Same thing here. And then in this area in between the downtown and Yumble U, this is kind of gridded as well, so that could be another good location. The other thing you should consider, though, is not just your zoning district, what you want your buildings to look like, it's actually the traffic flow in the area. So let's take a look at this. We've got our traffic on, and I want you to think about how this new district is going to impact the rest of the city. So if we take this new district and we put it right on the main drag, so this, if you recall, this was the very first road in the city. It used to be an interchange, and now it just connects the two halves of the city together. Lots of traffic through here. You can see congestion at the intersections here, and you can see that we have other modes of transportation that are running up and down this road. We've got a monorail right here. We've got trams right here. And if we pop out of this menu, we can see that we have bike lanes. All of these are problems. So if we were to add our pedestrian district here, we know that the traffic's got to go somewhere. So it either goes onto our local streets and finds itself a new arterial, or it goes to one of our other arterials. Maybe that's okay, but there is some congestion here, so we'd have to mitigate that in some way. The bigger concern is more of a game mechanic issue, and that is that this DLC has some pedestrian roads that have transit facilities and some that are just pedestrian roads, but the transit facilities are limited to buses because buses were included in the base game. Monorail was included in a DLC update, as were trams, as were bikes, and as a result, none of those facilities are included in this DLC. So if you wanted a walkable monorail street, that doesn't exist. Same thing with trams. So that does make building a pedestrian atmosphere around these modes a little more challenging. It's not impossible, but it is certainly more difficult. And even with buses, if you wanted to build a whole pedestrian promenade around buses, you're going to have to use specific pedestrian roads that allow buses because buses aren't allowed on every single road. But we'll get into that more a little bit later. So this is a really challenging location for all of the reasons I just mentioned, which is why I wouldn't choose this. But I do think I know one location that's pretty good. Right over here, in between Biffa's Rock Park and Yumble University, there is this area that I think that we could create a nice transition between the downtown and the university. Right now, it's just a whole bunch of high-density buildings. And we know that we're going to use the wall-to-wall buildings that come with this DLC. Those are all mid-rise. They're kind of like the tourism district that came with After Dark, how no matter how you zone it, high density or low density, you get big towering tourism buildings. With this, no matter how you zone it, you get mid-rises. So it's a nice natural transition between the density of the downtown and the honestly, the fields of the university. We can still have some density here, but not overwhelm the university. So I think that this is going to be our preferred location. We can do a lot of stuff here. So to get started, we need to paint a district. Now that we found our location, we get our district ready. We go into our districts and areas menu and find our paint district area. So We're going to paint a pedestrian district, and what you'll notice is that the Yumbo University District and Biff's Rock Park are both here as well. That's going to be important to recognize because we can't overlap these. So if we wanted to do so, we'd have a problem. Granted, you can slice and dice these things, these districts, just like you do park districts or other districts. So we could certainly have jumping or put a little hole in here and, do whatever it would take. I'm going to try to keep it simple though. So it's called the Laurel Center. We're going to need to change that. We're going to make this Trattoria Square. And it says right off the bat, service point required. Pedestrian area requires at least one service point building. So we're going to have to fix that. And that brings us into the menu. So right here we pop in. This under Parks and Plazas is where you will find all of the new assets. And there's two new tabs available to us. One is pedestrian areas and the other one is pedestrian area plazas. Now this second tab has a bunch of plazas. We could place those anywhere. We'll get into those in a little bit. We're going to focus on this first tab with pedestrian areas because that's what we're going to need to build this. So we need a service point. Think of the service point kind of similar to the Park Life DLC. You have to have a gate. This is the same thing. This is the main point of interaction between the cargo and trash collection and the pedestrian district. So all of those vehicles are going to come to this small pedestrian service point building. And as a result, this needs to be placed on a functional road. We're going to need to think about the traffic that is going to be generated by this building. Think of this building as being very similar to a cargo train terminal and all the traffic that would generate. We could pop it up here. I'm going to encourage you to do something different though. I like to grab and pull another block in. And then we'll take our service point and place that down here. I'm going to back it off a little ways and I'm going to de-zone this entire block. And truthfully, I might just de-zone everything that we're about to do so that I can demonstrate a couple of things. Not necessarily the height of realism, but it will make me very happy. So we're going to do that. There we go. A blank palette. And I'm excited about that. This is going to be a good place for our district. The other thing I want to look at is we've got some terrain here, and I think that this district is going to work better if we don't have a bunch of terrain. So I probably should go through here and just level things out a little bit. All right, there we go. We're back in business and we have much more favorable terrain. We've got a little bit of a bowl here. That's okay. We can work around that. Now that we have this, we've got our service point, we can get building. And I want to think a little bit about what we're going to place in here. So first of all, we've got a lot of options in terms of our roads that we can use here. We've got 3 different categories of roads. We've got sandstone, and I'll place one of each of these. We've also got bluestone, and we've got cobblestone. So let's take a look at these really quickly. And these are just about the visuals. What would you rather go with? Something like this with cobbles, feels historic, feels old, but at the same time modern with those lights going through. Sandstone feels very modern, and then I'd say that this bluestone is somewhere in between. They've all got the bollards, they've all got the lights, and they all cost the same amount. In fact, if you look at all of the roads, if you go with the 2-unit roads, it doesn't matter if it has trees or not. They're all 40 cells to construct, or $40 a cell to construct, and 32 cents per week upkeep. When you get to the larger cobblestone, what you see is that it's 60 cents per cell to construct and 80 cents per week in upkeep. So that's significantly more upkeep, more than double, even though it only costs about an extra 50% more to construct it. So they're really capturing the reality that operations is way more difficult than capital. And that's the funny thing about the real world of city building. I think that we're going to go with the sandstone. It feels like Trattoria for me. For whatever reason, it just feels like that's what would be here, so we're going to go with it. And since trees don't matter in terms of the expense, I think we're going to go with a tree-lined street. Right down the center, I want to place this larger road because I want to create a vista, a sight line between the university and Biffa's Rock Park. So I want you to be in here and be able to look out at the gate and see the entryway to the university. So we'll pull these two areas together with a pedestrian connection, making this the most convenient way to get between the two. So that's going to be our goal here, and I think we can accomplish that, but we need to do a bit of moving. So the first thing we're going to move is this gate right here. I think we could do a little better on the straightness of this connection. Let's try it. Okay, I moved it over slightly. Maybe it's not a ton better, but what it does do, I moved these buildings over to create that wider line of sight, and I do like that more. Okay, so I want to do the exact same thing over here at the university. Okay, and again, it seems like there's some conflict between this path and this road. Okay, I found the solution, and the solution was to not have it perfectly centered. It's pretty close, but you see now you can cross right there. That's the trick. It's kind of the same thing with Biffus Park over there. It was the same deal. It's close, but it's not 100%. That said, our sight line is going to be pretty good. So let's go through here and think about what we want our streets to look like. Now that we have this one, I think that we'll have median streets going north and south. And then we'll have tree-lined streets going east and west. So you get a bit of a flavor of what this looks like. Now, I love the way that it terminates these roads with bollards when they're coming to an end at the pedestrian area. It feels very nice to me. Feels orderly. We also need to consider one more thing, though, and that's transit. I know that we have new bus shelters, so we're going to bring a bus line up here with a shelter, and we're going to put that right on the edge of this district. So why don't we place that right about here? This will be a good spot. We use some eminent domain on that house. The reason I like this as a location is the bus will get right to the university, and I want to have a bus route that allows us to get from the downtown area and Union Station all the way out to this area, and perhaps even to maybe all the way out to the football stadium. So we're going to come through here, and you're going to notice one thing right off the bat. I cannot add a bus route anywhere within this district, and that is because we do not allow buses on our pedestrian roads. So on our pedestrian roads, you can have city service vehicles, so police, fire, ambulances, death care. You can have the service vehicles from the service hub that we put, and you can have transit if you have a transit pedestrian road. Otherwise, transit vehicles are not allowed in here, and it won't even allow you to route through here. And if you recall, we have not pedestrianized these roads around our pedestrian area, so it is kind of a weird situation where we're going around it the long way. We're going to fix that. We're going to do a couple of things first. So I'm going to add stops there, here, and then right back here, we'll create our loop. And I'm going to move this inside. I don't think I can do both because of the circulation pattern that we get here. Yeah, it mucks it all up. This is one of the new bus shelters that comes with this DLC. One of the new transit facilities, It's a compact bus shelter, and it is absolutely beautiful. Looks like an office, some benches, lights, cycling bins, a tree growing out of the roof, interesting tiles. This is the general aesthetic of the build, so it's cool to see that incorporated in this shelter. Now, going up and down this area, I want to make sure that the transit is able to go down here, but I want to pedestrianize this. So what we're going to do is go back in and use a pedestrian-only transit road. That's going to make these places unhappy. You see it right there. We'll come back to that. Let's convert these all. And right here, too, let's convert this to be a transit road. And we've made everyone unhappy. There's this park, not a pedestrian area, house, not in pedestrian area, and this high school, not in pedestrian area. So we can fix that. If you encounter that issue, you need to just pull this in like that. We'll clean up our district a bit. Same thing with the high school and all of these other buildings. So if you put a pedestrian road in an area that's not in a pedestrian district, you will see that sign, and it's only a matter of time before the district begins to abandon. So don't do that. Do not do that. We've got a real nice little district set up. It's time to start populating it. So I want to think about the uses. So we've got this area right here. This is going to be very important for us. I think this would be a commercial corridor. We're going to use our wall-to-wall zoning. I'm going to talk about how you can apply that to this district. So with these new districts, you can go ahead and apply a specialization to the district, directly to it. So it's an interesting mechanic, and it works with the wall-to-wall specializations. It also works, I could say that this whole district is a self-sufficient building district. But also clear it out, just like you have in the past. So it's interesting that you can do that, but you might not want to. And the reason why, if I were to just apply this, I can't change anything. So if I were to do what I hate doing, which is having a district in a district, I could really make a unique area. So I have a district in a district. We have Applegate Heights. I could come through here and say this is a modern city center district, and then apply the zoning here, and it will zone in as a modern city center district. Let's see this. So we've got these modern city center buildings, and honestly, they feel pretty amazing with the pedestrian roads, particularly these wide ones. It feels like a historic city center that's been converted into a pedestrian-only plaza. And that is happening more and more now. So why would you want to prevent yourself from doing that? So you could divide it up if you had a big area into these little districts and change the building themes. And one of the things you might think, I'll just do that in this little area, and outside of there, I'll just apply the district theme. It just doesn't work that way. So I'm going to apply the specializations to the general district and watch what happens. And you can start to see it now. The specialization for the special district overrides any other district specializations that you might have over the top. So that's the main reason why I say, give careful consideration. If you're okay having wall-to-wall or some other specialization is your only specialization in the district, then by all means, apply that specialization to the district itself. Just know that you're kind of playing with fire if you ever want to customize the district more later. But we're good. So we're going to go with the wall-to-wall because we want to explore what these assets look like. And unlike modern city center, the density doesn't matter. So we currently have high density commercial through here, and you see that we are getting roughly 4-story buildings, 5-story buildings, mid-rises, some 3-story with a little 2-story on the side. They're very interesting looking buildings. They're very blocky, and they have these really interesting procedurally generated murals on the side. And I honestly love them. You don't want to overdo it with these. Clearly, it's an acquired taste, and I do think that it can be a little busy if you have too many of them. But that's not all that different than some of the other building types that you can add through districts. And it's honestly, I love that I can control where these show up. So now I want to pop into this menu for a minute and talk a little bit about what we're doing. So we built a wall-to-wall district, but we need to come back to this menu because something has changed. So right here, this is our info screen about our pedestrian area. We're able to see some information about the area. We can see the maintenance per week. It's very expensive. We can see the number of tourists that we're getting, which is almost none. We can see that with all the commercial, we're using almost all of our cargo trucks every single week. And the area focus is commercial. This is important for a couple of reasons. If you want to unlock buildings, you have to meet certain requirements. And now this is not as complex as, say, industries or the campuses, but it does have a bit of depth to it, and it gives you something to really track towards. So you can unlock these service points, and really you only unlock these when you need them. So I unlocked the small cargo service point because our existing service point, which has 5 trucks and 3 garbage vehicles, is at capacity. It has high cargo traffic, totally full, and that's why we unlocked it. If we had a bunch of garbage, we could unlock that service point, and we also unlock larger service points for general purpose stuff and larger for cargo by meeting the requirements, and that's just having more and more vehicles in use. So building more of these service points, basically. There are plazas that we can unlock by having a certain land value on average in the cells within your district. Now, this is a very valuable land as it is because of its location in between a park and a university and in the downtown area. So we are kind of cheesing that a bit. So something to keep in mind. We're going to be able to unlock all of these very quickly. And then we have these other buildings that we can unlock. So these unlock based upon your district specialization. So we can have a residential zone landmark, a commercial zone landmark, and an office zone landmark. And this, you can see that right now that we have to sell 20,000 goods per day in a pedestrian area with a commercial focus to unlock this. So right now, we go back to this menu, you can see that we have our commercial focus and we're selling 11,400 goods per week. We're going to cheese this. I want to unlock all these buildings. And I'm going to be the first to tell you that these buildings, they don't really do a lot for you. They increase the attractiveness of your district, but I want to unlock everything. Or not everything, but a lot of things, as much as I can. So we're going to zone all those in. I'm going to speed up this a little bit. And I'm curious, we've got 2 streets really around our district that allow vehicles. Seems like the park would be a good street to have as a pedestrian street. Let's see if we have transit going up and down there. Okay, a transit street. So why don't we convert this to be a transit-only street? Transit pedestrian street, rather. And I don't know that we can do that. Park side gate cannot be reached. It needs to be on a road, I'm guessing. Yes, this building requires vehicles that are not allowed on this road. Well, it is what it is. I wonder. So what if we take our district and just... Boop. Oh, now it's even more mad. So now it needs to be in a park area to function. Okay. Well, I guess we are not converting this street. What we could do is look at some of our new streets, and a number of new streets are now available in the game. We have these 2-lane roads with wide sidewalks, excellent for commercial areas. If we take a look at these real quick, wide sidewalks, no parking. I love it. We also have these roads with a median, which come in the concrete variant, the green median variant, and the woody variant. And then we have some things that are really interesting. We've got 4-lane roads, so that's pretty cool. This is something that's huge, and I'm going to get into this at the end of the video. I want to talk about this a little bit more, but this is what I'm interested in right now. This is the 4-lane road with bus lanes. If we have to have this road here, let's get rid of all parking, and we will have bus lanes on here since we already have transit service. Here we go. There we go. I love that. Oh, I accidentally converted that. Okay, there we go. So now we're making some progress. We come into here. We have 32,000 goods. We have unlocked our commercial zone landmark. We're going to go for the other ones too. Let's go for our office landmark first. So we're going to get rid of all of this crazy stuff. And, well, maybe not all of it. Let's leave some of it. I think that along this main corridor, we are going to continue to want commercial. So I'm going to leave that there. And I look at this as being a place where you could get a bite to eat or something of that nature. I think a lot of those buildings are also going to be replaced with different plazas and landmarks. So we're going to go for that in the future as well. We'll convert this right here and let's see what this has done for us. When we come into here, now it says the area focus is workplaces. And to unlock our office landmark zone, we need 2,000 people working here. So that's going to take a little bit of time. And in the meantime, I'll actually zone a little bit more beyond this, including directly around this area. This is probably not going to change. And our service point is struggling. High cargo traffic. We can resolve this. The reason why we have this is if we take a look, we've got 5 out of 5 of our cargo vehicles used. Let's resolve this. Pop into here and look at our service points. And we now have this small cargo service point unlocked. 7 truck capacity. Better than the 5 that we have here, but it doesn't have any garbages. Not a big deal. We aren't concerned about that. We just need to resolve our cargo issues. Pop that right next to this, and this will resolve some of our problems. Or it'll deploy every single truck and have problems itself, and we'll need to place 2. We'll see. The other thing that we could do here, we aren't struggling too much with traffic. If we were, we could have a one-way loop around here and think of this, like I mentioned, think of this at like our cargo train terminals. And I like to do that many times just to create a circulation pattern that's predictable. Thankfully, it's not too bad. I wouldn't recommend putting either of these buildings on an arterial or a collector because it's really back those up, but we're able to disperse the traffic with it on a local road. So I thought I'd let this grow in for a little bit. And the thing is, we just have no office demand. So we are going to add in a little bit of residential. I think this is an area where we'll likely have residential in the future anyway. There's residential on the other side of the road, so it makes some sense that we would carry this through. So hopefully a little bit of residential will help us bring some more offices to this area, but it's really kind of a struggle. The other thing that we could do is start to place some of these buildings that we're unlocking. So if you go into your unique buildings menu, you can come into pedestrian area landmarks, and that's where all of these landmarks are located. We've unlocked our commercial zone landmark, and what this does is provide 70 entertainment value, which is helpful in unlocking more landmarks here. Why don't we place it over here? And it's an interesting little building. It's got what looks like a plaza space, and it's an attractive building. And it matches really well. That said, it doesn't do a lot. It just increases the entertainment. You can see that it'll attract a number of visitors. So just keep in mind, this isn't going to do a ton for you. It's really kind of about bragging rights and increasing the land value in the area. It also has this cool plaza, and I want to point that out because you could actually make that plaza by yourself with some of the included assets in this pack. So we haven't gone into the pedestrian area plazas menu yet, but this has a number of parks, which we're going to add some of those soon, and it also has a number of ploppables. So you have assets that you can plop, including that fountain that we're looking at right there. We can place that ourselves, make a totally custom park. Every single piece of these parks is available in here, which is really cool, even down to the ice cream stand, which we're going to place in just a moment, and all of the decals. So if you wanted to place these decals, including the cobblestone and the sandstone pavers, you're able to do all of that. So you have a lot of customization options here, and I really think that this is a cool addition to this DLC pack. All right, so things aren't moving quickly here, not as fast as I want anyway. We have almost 700 jobs, but I think we can really crank this up to 100 by adding in some parks. So let's look at the parks that are available to us, the Plazas and Promenades. So I'm going to place these first. So here are 3 of the parks that are available. We've got this ice cream stand plaza, which is an interesting little asset. It has an ice cream shop and some chairs and some tables. And then we've got this one over here, which is a food truck plaza. So you get 2 food trucks, some benches, places to sit. Looks real nice. And then over here, we've got this fountain, which is really modern looking. But I really like this asset too. I think that they're all very attractive. That said, this is not where I wanted them. I just wanted to show them to you. So there we go. What I do want to place is some of these other assets. So this is the small glass roof plaza, and this is gorgeous. So this is an asset that you can place over 4U roads, and look what it does. It has a glass top, and it goes on both sides of the roads to create these little chess areas that you could go on. This is super cool. You can place this within a pedestrian area, or, and this is one of my favorite parts, you could do some real weird stuff. You could say, I want to place this over the top of a monorail station, and it'll let you do it. Check that out. Super cool. Now, there is one thing that I don't love about this, and I think I'll be able to demonstrate it fairly quickly. Let's place this on the other side. It's red. So keep that in mind. If you have Move It, you can probably just refresh it, and it will change the color. Recolor can probably do the same thing when mods are working well with this. In the meantime, you're going to have to do some things like what I'm about to do. I'm going to take this one with the white, put this over here, take this one with the red, put that over the top here, and apologize to every single citizen of the city for being an evil city planner that simply destroys buildings to move parks back and forth. So that's what we're doing. But look at this. Absolutely stunning. Beautiful little plaza area. Now, there's a really fun thing that you can do with these too. So this doesn't have to be on a 4-unit wide road. You could place this on a 2-unit wide road, and it will add the concrete to the sides. Super cool. So that allows you to reserve right-of-way if you wanted to for future uses, whatever you want. And you could upgrade this down the line. The other thing you could do with it, if you had a whole bunch of these, I guess you could come through and add in bike facilities. Let's turn on grid. And we've got bike facilities right along the side here. You can put decals, whatever you want to do. Now, what I want to do is to have that 4-unit road back. But it is an option. You can do a variety of different things. So I really think this is a neat little addition to the game. And let's look at the rest of these parks. So we have this statue plaza. So this one maybe we'll leave in here. We'll find a nice flat spot and place this here. And it's just a plaza with statues. It's pretty cool though. I like it. It's very modern looking. It's got these interesting decals. Everything just feels hyper modern, including the sculpture there. I really like that. And then there's some more that I really, really like. 2 more. We have this large food truck plaza, and I want to put that by the university. And then we've got this ice cream stand plaza. We're going to put that on the other end near the park. So again, these straddle the road the same way that those glass towers do. And just super cool looking assets. Interesting decals, places to sit, little ice cream shop, and it's just so neat. Really makes this feel like a pedestrian focused area. So This DLC really allows you to customize things and get the feel that you're looking for. I think that this DLC is almost more about feel than anything else. So why don't we change the feel of our area and start thinking about the trees on the roads. So similar to the other DLCs, you're able to change the trees. Now, it will let me do this, but I know from experience that these palm trees, these California palms, not so good. Not right there. So we can change that right here to these date palms in this area, and that is much better. Much, much better. We're going to throw some coconuts on the other streets, and pretend that they won't kill you if they fall and hit you in the head. There we go. Now it's feeling lively. Now it's feeling like a place. So we've got tons of pedestrian activity, and I think that what we need to do, again, let's check this out. We are getting closer to where we need to be. We're not quite there yet. So there's a couple of options I think that we have available to us. We could either expand our district. Not sure that I'm there quite yet. Or we could look at other city services that we could add here. And I think that's where I'm at right now. We're going to add city services and see if that boosts us up to where we need to be. If it doesn't, we'll convert some of these over to residential and unlock that landmark. I'm good either way. So there are a number of high capacity city services that have come with this DLC. So the first one I want to look at are our hotels, our hospitals. So the new hospital, high capacity hospital, has a capacity of 800, which is significantly more than the 500 with the larger hospital that came with the vanilla game. So it has a higher upkeep and a higher upfront cost, but you're getting that higher capacity and a really unique design. Now these can be placed again inside of this area or outside of it, really your call. I'm going to place it, oh, that block's too small. I think we're going to place it inside of here, which isn't going to help us with employment very much. Now we're able to place this in here because ambulances can drive on the pedestrian roads. So this is a really unique looking asset, again, very blocky. And I feel like it has it falls somewhere in between being European and American. It's got the red cross like you'd see in America and the green like you'd see in Europe. I love it. Let's not stop there. We also have other emergency services, including our fire stations, which have a capacity of 40 instead of 25, and they're significantly larger. So we'll pop this in here. Very good. And we are going to look at our police department as well. Now, this is an interesting one because this is significantly smaller than the police headquarters from the vanilla game. So let's place this. We'll see where we can sneak this one in. You see that it's a little tiny guy. And I think that the reason why this is so small is they are basically insinuating that this underground garage is where all of the police vehicles go. So interesting design decision. I like that these buildings butt right up against the zone buildings. It makes them feel very, very wall to wall. And this building right here is massive. So is the hospital. We also have educational facilities, so we're going to check those out as well. So these are a mixed bag for me. So the elementary school, it's a good deal. Our normal capacity is 300, and the upkeep is 160 a week. We're looking at 800 for 416 a week. So this is actually a better deal in terms of upkeep. We're going to place that right away. Why don't we place that in this little area right here? We've got a park and a high school. We'll get rid of those. And we'll place this elementary school right here. And then we'll look at our high school. High school capacity, 2,400. That is out of this world. So this is similar to some of the custom high schools that I used in Clearwater County. As opposed to the vanilla, which is 1,000. The vanilla high school is also 560 per week upkeep. This one that's over twice as many students is only 928. So you get efficiency with density. And I appreciate that. That makes a lot of sense to me. So then we'll take a look at both of these and look at how fantastic these look. So very far out in terms of their design. You still have a place for the kids to play. There's a park in here. This does function, and you will see students actually playing in here, skipping rope, doing whatever kids do. And just because it's hyper urban doesn't mean that it's not a fully functional school for children. Oh, I think I saw some. Nope. I was wrong. And then this high school, also super cool. You got a outdoor eating area, and it's very colorful. I could see using these outside of this wall-to-wall district, just in a very dense urban area. Really having a lot of our students congregating in the same location. I really love that. And it's providing a bit of separation between the university in this district and transitioning into it. So that's kind of a fun little aside as well. And then there is the controversial asset in my mind, one that I don't love, and that is the university. We have this high capacity university. The cost, don't care. What I care about is that student capacity, and that is 10,000. Now keep that number in mind because we're going to look at Yumble University. Look at how massive and sprawling this is. 10,153 students for this whole campus, and it's only half full, a little over half. So if we were to use this, we would cannibalize our student population. If you use campuses, I probably wouldn't use this building. Again, that's your call though. It's just, for me, it's not a good fit. So we're gonna get rid of that, and I'm just gonna accept that we're probably not going to reach our milestone in terms of workplaces. So let's convert this over. And again, we can continue to change the dominant district type through here. And if we wanted this to be residential, we could come through here and just rezone a bunch of these workplaces, add in some residential. Now it's funny, as your mix changes, if it gets too close to 50%, you'll see that it's a mixed district. There we go. Area of focus, mixed, because we don't have anything dominant in here. So mixed use, it is possible. You don't unlock anything for that, but it can make you feel good. So we're going to not do that. We're going to come through and make this a predominantly residential district. And I've tried to place these residential uses where they would make the most sense. And to me, that is near other residential uses, near some offices and things of that nature. And then cleaning up the zoning a bit as we settle into what our mix is actually going to be in this area. And it is predominantly residential focused. We've got 966 residents, and we look at what this takes to unlock. We need 2,000. We could get there. I'm not going to bank on it. So what I think we need to do now is start exploring some of the transit buildings that are available to us. We've unlocked, it looks like we've actually unlocked 2 plazas too, so we should take a look at those. We've got our Flower Plaza and our Large Fountain Plaza. Let's look at those first. So here is the Flower Plaza. Why don't we add that to this little area before it all fills in? And then we've got our Large Fountain Plaza. We'll add that over here. So we'll start with this one. It is a large fountain plaza. Doesn't terraform all that well, I'd say. But I didn't respect the topography. So what can I can't really complain. It's my own fault. And it's an attractive enough asset, minimal upkeep. And what it really matters is the entertainment value of this. So if we look at this, we can see that it's 75 entertainment and has 150 visitor capacity. So that's helpful. And that helped us unlock the Large Glass Roof Plaza. And let's take a look at this Flower Plaza real quick. It is a plaza. It is filled with flowers, and it has a newspaper stand. It is very attractive. I like it. I really like how they're now incorporating the new plants directly into these assets. The new landscaping, just really, really sharp looking. All right, so we've unlocked one more thing. And this thing I'm actually really excited about. So the Large Glass Roof Plaza is large. So let's eliminate these small ones and check out the big one. And depending on the side of the road that you click on, you can turn the direction of these. Now look at these. We got lucky enough that they're both the same color. These can be white and red. So I'm glad that we got the white variant. And look at this. It's a huge plaza. And what's interesting about this is it has water jets. So this would thrill my children and terrify my dog. So there we go. Banjo does not approve, but I do. I think this is super cool. And we have a pedestrian environment now that is very unique. This is not possible a week ago. This is only possible today. So very, very excited about this. What we're seeing is that we're making a place that's totally unique, totally special. We're actually about to unlock our residential landmark 2. Our value is through the roof. Our cargo, because we've cut this down and the amount of commercial back here and the amount of offices, we're seeing less cargo utilization. So that's good too. Let's get some more tourists in here. And then after that, we'll set some policies to see how that impacts our district as well. So we talked about our new bus facility, and that's neat. We also have a number of new transit facilities. So if we come through and we look at our heavier transit, so we've got this super cool, I believe this one is the metro station, the station and the station shops. And then we've also got this elevated train station. Now for both of these, the colors vary. So it's super cool. Every time you place it, the color is going to be slightly different, which makes it feel like it's its own unique place. That is totally rational in my opinion. So very cool. But we've got more. And what we have is in metros. First of all, we got one-way metro tracks now, which is super cool because that allows us to get really flexible with our metro. We also have 2 new underground stations. So we've got this one here, which has that crossing pattern, which is similar to the last content creator packs that came out. There's a station that was kind of similar. And then there's the one that I'm more excited about, which is this one. So this is a 1x3 unit station that has parallel tracks. This is super cool. We're going to take advantage of this one. This one is a 2x4 unit, I believe, maybe 2x3, and it has that cross. It's cool. I like the way it looks, but not quite as interested in this one right now. So let's get rid of that. We're going to take this one and find a wonderful location right in the heart of our pedestrian district, because this district is only as good as people can access it. So we're going to go right on the edge of our new glass plaza and put this metro station right next to it. And you'd be able to sit here, wait, hang out, then go down here, go grab coffee or whatever this is. Neptune Media. Is that a CD store? For those who know what a CD is. Now let's get this some transit service run to this particular area. So those are ugly. That is a lot coming into this little area. But what we're going to see is probably some pretty significant utilization, dropping pedestrians right off in the middle of our pedestrian district. So I'm excited about that because I think it's going to help us reach some of our tourism guidelines that we are hoping to hit. And right now we're only seeing 36 tourists a week. If we wanted to unlock some of these, we've got to see 250 to 500. So that's a lot. We need to do a lot to get people to come here. There are things that we can do. We can add unique buildings, or we can look at our policies. One that might help us would be our street music policy. This increases the happiness in the commercial zones, increases noise pollution, and that could be impactful to our residential uses. We're going to look at our noise pollution, and you can see that there's an area where it's loud. Let's see what this policy actually does. You can see it actually get darker. So it certainly is increased our noise pollution. That said, that is one of the most exciting things about pedestrian districts, is the excitement and atmosphere. So we're doing that. We have another few policies. We got this sugar ban, which will increase the lifespan of Sims while also increasing crime, both by 20%, because people have to steal candy bars and smuggle them in. Not great. I'm not going to do that one. I don't know why that exists. I don't know who's going to want that. I guess people who really hate candy. But who doesn't hate? Who hates candy? And then we've got slow driving. So this is a neat one. I want to focus on this one for just a moment. So let's look. You can see that our district dips into this road a little bit. So let's pop out of here and let's apply this policy. So when we click on this, look at this car. Boom, it just slows down to a crawl. We can actually control speed limits for the first time. You can see it happen. As soon as they hit that area, speed limit changes. We've got very, very, very obedient Sims. So definitely appreciate this. It makes the districts being drawn correctly even more important, unfortunately. So if I wanted this to really work well, I'm going to have to go through, and you can see I just inadvertently clicked. I will have to do this all the way through. So this could be very helpful in a number of scenarios. First of all, this is one of them. We have a lot of pedestrian traffic crossing from our park into our pedestrian district. We cannot convert this to a pedestrian street, but we can prioritize the pedestrians by making this super uncomfortable to drive down. Just keep in mind that this is going to create more traffic. So if we look at this, we're going to see this get really heavy because it'll take a long time to get through here. I'm going to speed this up and we just see it. Look at the red starting to crawl down here as the cars are coming to a crawl. This isn't the way that traffic actually works. If you slow down traffic, you actually increase the capacity of the roadway. That's just basic traffic engineering. The closer that you can get cars, the more you can get through there, you're increasing the capacity. Either way, you see that it's dark red now. And our traffic flow is fine. So maybe it is taking that into consideration. It's not considering this congestion, it's considering it heavy. Interesting, we hit 83% there for just a moment. So we've got another policy that we haven't touched on just yet, and that is deliver everything. So this is a very interesting policy to me. This is one that I might use to cheese the game, actually, because this allows you to ensure that all buildings in a particular area use cargo services and garbage services from our service points. So think about Verde Beach, when I was having all those problems actually getting cargo into the downtown area. You could make a pedestrian district, not convert anything to pedestrian roads, and set that policy. So if I set this policy, deliver everything within the bounds of this district, which includes some buildings that are on normal streets, all of these buildings now would need to get their trash collected from the service points and get their wares from the cargo vehicles that come from the service points. So it's a very interesting policy, and I think that it could be very beneficial in certain scenarios. So I'm going to turn this one off. I don't know that I necessarily want that in this district, but I do think it was valuable to have for a little while, just to demonstrate the way that would work. So I'm going to see if we've unlocked. We unlocked our residential landmark. We're going to go and place that. And then I think that we are going to move on to the other part of this update that I'm really excited about. So I'm going to take this residential landmark and we will put this near the high school. Improve land values near the university. So again, an attractive building, very interesting. And what this does for you is it's a modern landmark building. It's just a place for tourists, improving the land values in here. And I think that we're at a point now where we're starting to see our tourists come up. I'm guessing if we look at our transit utilization, 210 per week here, we're doing pretty good. And I'm hoping that our buses aren't overloaded. They are. So that's a thing. Let's look at these real quick. Yeah, we've got a heavy utilization here based on where it goes. We'll set this to be a super bendy and crank this up and hopefully get even more tourists here. And on the topic of buses, let's build a BRT line. We have the ability to do that now. I showed you some of the roads that are now available to us. We have all of these roads with medians. We've got some 4-lane arterial roads. This would be useful in an area like this. We've got this service interchange, has an arterial here, collector here, local road here, heavy traffic all the way down. So why don't we upgrade this to be a 4-lane collector? This is something I'm probably going to do from here on out when I build my cities. Because when I built this city to start out with, I put a 4-lane road down. I didn't really want it to be a 4-unit wide road. I wanted the 4 lanes because that lines up with the highway, but I didn't want the width. So this is a solution to that. We could just upgrade that 2-unit road when we have a need for extra capacity. It removes the parking. It does a lot, and it fits within that envelope. I really love this. I think that's a great addition. We've also got a couple of other newcomers. We have 2 and 4-unit one-way roads. So how exciting is this? We now can have a roundabout that, instead of having a highway, is slower speed. So I think this is super important because, first of all, when you hover over the roads now, they tell you the speed limit. So it's 40 kilometers per hour on these 3-lane roads. Same thing with the 4-lane road. We could do either one, and we can now have proper lane mathematics. We do need to come through when you set these, though, and look, because you will get signals through here if you have any priority. That's something to consider and think about, but we could definitely set up lane mathematics through here. Shout out to Biffa. So there we go. We'll set that through here, proper lane mathematics. We would want to probably block zoning through here so that we don't inadvertently get houses in the middle of our roundabout. And there are pedestrian crossings, so there are some shortcomings. But in general, this is a pretty positive development for the game, and I really like it. It also gives us the ability to create some really spectacular arterials in old downtown areas. When you run out of space and you've got lots of traffic jams, you can have a one-way couplet with truly impressive amounts of capacity. So very, very cool. But the real star of the show is in the highways menu. And that is, first of all, new icons, much easier to see what they are. Thank you so much to Colossal Order and Paradox for doing this. That's one of those quality of life things that you don't realize you need until you get it. and it's there. We get some bus-only highways. So this is super cool. You can change the ramp now to be a bus-only ramp. So we could say that this is going to be our highway for buses and convert this over, or make a special bus-only interchange. And we can have bus lanes on our highway. So if this were very backed up, nothing says get on the bus like seeing the bus fly past you at 100 kilometers an hour, and when you're just sitting in traffic. So I love that. I think it's a great improvement in addition to the game. We're going to convert this back to the way that they were. The star of this is really these two-way bus-only expressways. You can make a BRT system, or bus rapid transit system, using these facilities. I'm going to show you how. So first of all, we're going to identify a street that has a lot of bus traffic, or could have a lot of bus traffic. I see a bunch of parallel facilities right here. We've got one route right here and another right here. I think we're going to go down this blue route. It's a little straighter and it's going to be easier to create. We're just going to convert this to be a bus expressway. Everyone hates it. So the one thing about this is now you can't have stops there. It's an expressway. How do you get around that? The buildings are going to be fine. If you look, our zoning's still there. They're just going to reorient. We're going to lose all these homes, and they're going to rezone again, or respawn facing their local road counterparts. So there's two ways that you can approach this. If you do have the new DLC, you can go in and we'll just add a pedestrian road there. We've already done this. So we will pop into our menu and grab our bus-only road and place that where these are. Now we're going to need to protect the parcels here. We're going to start seeing lots of crabbing by the buildings that they are not in the correct location. You see this one? It's actually spawning on this pedestrian road, and it's mad already. I spawned on the wrong road, and I am not in a pedestrian area, but I'm on a pedestrian road. I'm sad. I'm mad. We can fix this with a bit of eminent domain. So we're going to use our grid and just come along here and add in a fence just to prevent zoning along this little stretch. Same thing here. We got someone crabbing about that there as well. I've found a solution. So there we go. And the other thing that this does for us is gives us the ability to add some landscaping to make this a BRT stop. So I like this. This reminds me a lot of the Orange Line in Los Angeles, where you have a really high capacity, high speed bus corridor, and we can prioritize this as well. So I'm not making this super exciting, just some trees lining this road. But it is a pleasant place to be a pedestrian. You see that the pedestrians are lining up here. They can walk to this street because it is connected to the pedestrian network on both sides. Pedestrians are able to cross these streets at the crosswalks. So don't worry that they're getting trapped. Right there, you just saw that guy go across. In fact, he crossed diagonally. That's interesting. I didn't know that that was a possibility. So we have this here, but you might not be buying the DLC, but you're going to get this update and you want to know what you can do to make this work. You could absolutely go in here and use one of our new 4-lane roads with bus lanes. The drawback to this is if we speed this up and we look at our routes, we're probably going to see some folks using this inappropriately. Right now, it looks like it's only buses, but now we've just seen city service vehicles cutting through here. We're very likely to see trucks and maybe even some private vehicles making the trip like this. So not quite as good as what we're able to do with our new bus-only pedestrian roads, but it's still an option for you. And the last thing that we have to do is come through and move our routes, get them on here, and then ensure that we have prioritization on this road. And truthfully, if this were BRT, we're probably looking at having super bendies on these routes, and I would expect we would increase the density along this entire corridor as well. So let's set priority. If we come through here and we look at our routes, we click on the road, we can set priority. And what this does, when we go into junctions, we now have stop signs on all of the side streets. I also get one here. I'm going to take that one away. And on the end, we probably need a signal here. So just something to keep in mind. But now we can see how quickly these buses are going to cruise through here. And they're getting some speed until they get to this road. So we could take a look at the speed of this particular road. It is 100 kilometers per hour, as opposed to, if we look at our normal city streets, 40. So You can pick up a lot of speed here and be more than competitive with automobiles if you create this sort of bus rapid transit system. So very nice addition to the game. If you wanted to improve this even further, you could cul-de-sac off some of these streets. And if you really wanted to get in the weeds, you could even add a path connection here so that you are connecting these up so someone could walk in between the two. So there we go. I've got to add the zoning back. I paused it because I was hoping to be able to save these. Either way, I didn't get far enough down, so not saving them anyway. But sometimes if you had move it, you could certainly move this down. But we've now created another way to get here, and we'll have even more speed and even fewer vehicular conflicts. That again is going to put pressure on your other roadway networks. But we've added a high capacity form of transit, so we shouldn't worry about that all that much. We've accomplished a lot today, and I think that all we can really do to wrap this up is take inventory of what we've done and have a brief city tour. And it's nighttime, and these new assets and buildings are just as pretty at night as they are during the day. We'll pop in and take a look. Look at how absolutely stunningly beautiful these assets are. You have the glowing, you have the people sitting here. I guess this lady wants to play in the fountain. So does Philip with 2 L's, just hanging out. Whatever they want to do. It's just beautiful. I absolutely adore these assets. I think that this is a similar DLC in my mind to After Dark. It's the kind of DLC that you're going to, maybe the core functionality, you're going to play with it a ton one time, and then it's going to slip into just what you do. You're going to use all these roads, you're going to use these districts, you're going to have these wall-to-wall buildings and a couple of blocks here or there, and you're going to really appreciate everything that this adds to the game. But I think it's not like Campus, where every city I build, I go, okay, well, it's time to build a campus. And I spend a while on the campus. I think you're going to sprinkle these throughout your city, and you're going to make really unique little areas, or at least I'm going to. So I really like this DLC. I think it's one of my favorites. It's certainly different than some of the other ones that are out there, but I love the ability to create an area that focuses on pedestrians. That's what cities are about, people, not cars. So it's nice to focus on people. So I hope that you've enjoyed this. If you did, please consider hitting the like button. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. And I really can't wait to see you in the next one. We are going to be taking a look at the other content creator packs. So if you want to know about that, hit that notification bell too, and you'll know when I post that video. Also got something really exciting coming on Saturday, so stick around for that. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care. Bye-bye.